you very much. A great honor to be here. So it's about data-driven coding, and this is a medical coding. So it's not about programming. So we are speaking ICD-10, International Classification of Diseases, and not Python. And I want to show you a couple of use cases from the Insel group in 7 steps. So let's start with fundamentals. So if you want to code a diagnosis, you need a diagnosis. So it has to be written in a health record. So, and I choose one diagnosis is a kidney disease. So how to get this diagnosis be documented? The specific with this diagnosis is this is often invisible. So it doesn't hurt. You have to run lab results tests to make it observable. So how to make this invisible diagnosis observable? You have to get tested. The second step, how to make this observable diagnosis became categorizable. So it's a huge evidence of data. So it's a very common disease. It's affect a lot of people worldwide. So about 10% of population has some kind of kidney disease. So we have a lot of data and a lot of data points, and experts and panels and international bodies, they decided to categorize kidney disease in stages. So it's very simple. If you get some deterioration of kidney function in a given period of time, it can be classified as stage 1, 2, or 3. So simple. If you, for example, the measure of lab results, it's going like worse 50% in 48 hours, it's stage 1. So very primitive, brutal, simplistic, and actually meant to help physician to get the right diagnosis. Now we are faced with reality. If you look at these 2 patients, you will probably see that the lab results are very similar. So you have 2 results, one of day 1 and day 3, and the difference is a couple of minutes and like 4 micromole per liter. But if you apply the guidelines, you will see that patient 1 have no KD and patient 2 had acute kidney injury, stage 1. So difference very small, and you will be probably in a clinical setting even don't see the difference between 2 patients. So often we miss the diagnosis, and our data shows that we miss diagnosis exactly in this early stage of acute kidney injury by 80 to 90% of patients. So this is very important that we see that diagnosis is like underestimated and we cannot find it in the electronic health record. So what's next? So how to help with situations? You cannot code it, it's not documented, and even worse, it's not treated. It's, of course, quality issue, but it's also a reimbursement issue and data issue. So what we did, we started in 2018. We developed a data-driven diagnosis rule engine. So it's a SQL code actually ingesting lab results, putting them in this data pipeline, assign the stage. So we look for temporality, we look for difference between lab values, so calculating the absolute and proportional values for this. And the diagnosis definition is based on the international guidelines. So this KDIGO guideline, they are actually the basics guidelines which are used internationally in the whole world. Also, the beauty of this algorithm that we calculate diagnosis for each patient, for each particular point of time. And we also calculate individual baseline for each patient based on historical data. So we have roughly 10 years of historical data in our database. So that means that each patient which was treated in Insel group and come again will have individual baseline, and we can compare with the individual baseline and not just with threshold. To proceed with this data, we use a data pipeline. So we built two data pipelines. One is near real time, so it's a prototype, and the second is retrospective. So we ingest EHR lab data, and they run through this rule engine. Then we compile data with the data from the data warehouse, so actually adding some data about the age and administrative cases. We use reports and dashboards for quality assessment, and then the data is proceeds to the coding workplace. And then the most important thing, it's a validation loop. So each diagnosis has to be invalidated. So we have a team of coding experts, they're physicians, they are expert nurses. So each case is put in the context of the EHR. So we read letters, we also consult the lab results and treatment. So of course we apply the coding guidelines, and we also have a very close dialogue with the clinicians, and also reiterate this algorithm and make sure that it really works. So at the end, we also compare the results of our study with text analysis. So we conduct a fuzzy search. So we compare the coding with the narrative, so written in the text in the discharge letter, to find how good our rule actually works. So at the end, we also delete the codes which are not correct. So at the end, we have really validated and sound database. So now the results. After 5 years of running the system, you can see we started in 2019. We have also back calculated 3 years of data. So this short line in the left is actually our baseline. So this is the starting point. And now we have 7 use cases for acute kidney injury, chronic kidney disease, diabetes, anemia, neutropenia, thrombocytopenia, multi-drug resistant microorganism, and now sepsis and prototyping. So we generate roughly 25,000 data-driven codes per year. And the main achievement is actually a high quality of data for coding and also for research. So what we can achieve is unambiguous clinical meaning of this data. So if you have an ICD-10 code for kidney injury, it's derived according to the lab results and usage of international guidelines. And we also can ensure Swiss TG revenue, so roughly 3 million per year, just assuring the correct and complete coding of our cases. So now the second step, clinical context coding. We have also commercial solution, our vendor. It's a firm from Germany, ID Berlin. So they help us also to reflect the context of data. So not only real lab results, but also put in account that we have a very complex context, also using letter and notes, medication, lab results, vitals, course and assessments, demographics, of course, to put all this information in a context. So the algorithm we are using for coding, they are multiple. So we use rule-based algorithm, but we also use LLM models, their own development, but also cloud LLMs. And of course, the difficulty of German language for EHR extraction. Yeah, it's known, so German is not easy to use. So this I know from the experts. And they also, of course, have to train data on the Bern Swiss German dialect, which is also not so easy to train. So I would say that there are not a lot of language models for this certain particular language. But so we have got 5 years of data from Insel and trained the models, so they perform really well. So I'm really happy. So maybe in the next couple of years we'll got like easy job, but yeah, I'm really excited to have more experience with this model. So it's actually our support from this very valuable collaboration with industry. And at the end, what we're also doing, we try to develop our also machine learning prototyping. So, for example, for one use case, we try to predict patient at risk for developing surgical site infection, and also from this point of view, closing the loop. So if you can early detect some condition or prevent patient from developing this condition, or at least having diagnose it and documentation, we can also provide better coding at the end. So this is actually current project, and we built our also models and run the machine learning approaches to get better precision and better early detection of patients at risk. So now, briefly, our roadmap. So as I mentioned, we started in 29. And interestingly, the first project I led was like machine learning project for VRE outbreaks, so vancomycin-resistant enterococci. And this was a project we tried to calculate the distance and distribution pathways of pathogen between employees, devices, and rooms to help clinicians to isolate patients at risk and prevent from outbreak dispersion of this microorganism in our hospital. So and then come the COVID, so it was our working horse during pandemic to use this data pipeline to retrieve data and to actually manage the hospital planning. Then a lot of operational dashboards, now AMLD, so multiple drug-resistant organisms reports, antibody consumption. And now, 3 weeks ago, we went live with Epic system, and our system is running, so we are really happy to have our data-driven approach just with a new source. So this is from my part, and I believe in the power of observation, so maybe we have to start with simple things, with fundamentals, to find some phenomena in our data, and then build a hypothesis and develop machine learning tools. Thank you very much for your attention.